Hi guys, live as promised for the first MMA live at 5 hour here on Mike Reviews It All. We got a lot of subjects we're going to catch up on here. I'm going to wait for some people to get on here. It's almost late for my own party here. I had some issues with that orientation device lock again. That's kind of frustrating, but a little bit of background about me on the station. I've been an MMA fan most of my life, ever since watching Enter the Dragon back in the day. And I want to wait for some more people to get on here. Watching amateur fight between Conor Gracie right now. Royce Gracie's 20-year-old son is going to be making his pro MMA debut on the Bellator 192 card. Same card as Rory McDonald and Douglas Lima, which should be a huge card. That should be incredible. So I'm just waiting for people to get on here. But for people that are watching this later, I'm going to go ahead and start this. We're going to talk about what's going on with Tony Ferguson and his elbow injury. And I might do a little bit of recap and repeat here, but Tony Ferguson has been calling Conor McGregor out for a long time for not defending his belt, and rightfully so. Conor McGregor was not defending either one of his belts. That's a huge issue. Huge issue there. He was not defending the 145 or the 155. Won both the belts, never defended either one of them. Now Tony Ferguson's like, fight me or vacate. At this point, he's like, I don't care, just vacate. Just give me a chance to defend my belt, because he's basically the champion. He's on a 10-fight win streak, and you know, he's the man right now. And Conor McGregor's on, you know, the victory tour, basically retired at 28 years old. So very, very strange thing going on there, but you know, sometimes it is what it is. Like I said, I'm watching Conor Gracie's amateur fight and Attitude MMA in the background. He's going to be making his pro debut here soon on Bellator. Luke Rockhold was on the MMA Hour with Ariel Helwani a couple days ago, and this was before. Hi, whoever's on here. I was just talking about the Tony Ferguson elbow injury. Don't know a whole lot more about it, but of course he's been calling Conor McGregor out for a long time to fight him or to vacate, and Conor's done neither. He hasn't defended either belt. He's been on a victory tour at 28 years old, and as far as I'm concerned, he's basically retired, or, you know, going into boxing. I don't know exactly what's going on there. Who's on there? Name yourself. No, you don't have to name yourself, but thanks for tuning in. I don't know what the elbow injury is. We don't know what the recovery time is, but Tony Ferguson's wife posted pictures of a post-surgery elbow injury on Instagram. It was an injury that was sustained in his recent fight against Kevin Lee. That, of course, was the eliminator bout for Conor's interim belt, which Tony Ferguson should take over here soon, and I hope he's not out for a very long time. That would be very sad, because I really would like to see him fight. If not, who do you guys want to see him fight? If not Conor, see him fight Khabib. Khabib's a monster. Khabib's an absolute animal, who's going to be fighting Edson Barbosa real soon, which is going to be an incredible fight. The winner of that should fight whoever the champion ends up being. Probably ends up being Tony Ferguson, but who knows? Maybe Tony's out long enough for Conor McGregor and him to fight in July for the UFC Fight Expo that they have every year, and that you know, that could end up timing up just nicely. Could have another interim champion by then. Fight between Khabib Nurmagomedov and Tony Lee. So, but let's talk about GSP and colitis. So GSP has been diagnosed with ulcerative colitis. A lot of people are saying it's because of change in his diet. Obviously, he looked much bigger going in his last fight. He looked like super GSP against Michael Bisping. His cardio wasn't quite there, but I mean, he looked like a beast. Absolutely. He fought very well. Michael Bisping, I've always said in the past, was a champion that wasn't championship caliber fighter, and I will say he was a champion, because to be the man, you have to beat the man. But Luke Rockhold obviously did not take him seriously in that fight, and we've seen the results of that. How you don't take somebody on the level of Michael Bisping seriously going into a fight like that, I don't know. But Luke Rockhold, obviously, he was taunting him. He wasn't taking him seriously. You know, Luke Rockhold was just on the MMA Hour, though, with Ariel Helwani a couple days ago. And he was talking about fighting Robert Whittaker, of course, thinks that he should be fighting Robert Whittaker. GSP told him step aside. He's like, I don't know what's wrong with you. I don't care what's wrong with you. Kind of questioned whether or not the colitis thing was a real deal or not, but only said he'd never defend the title. And right afterwards, GSP came out and said, they asked him today, actually, will you defend the 185-pound title? And GSP said probably not. Which to me is a resounding no, unless they throw a ton of money at him. So he's sitting on the sideline with colitis, and who tweets today? But the newly retired Ben Askren has an ominous tweet. It shows a picture of a bloody GSP after the Michael Bisping fight, and it's captioned Ben Askren's tweet above. It says, I heard he is coming back at 170 for a certain someone. Wink emoji. The same day, Tyron Woodley stated that he would have vacated the 170-pound title to fight GSP at 185. So he's definitely interested in fighting him at 170. If GSP is interested in fighting at 170, I don't know. I have a feeling GSP's back to just make as much money as he can and go back to his castle. He's kind of almost on Connor's level right now. I don't know if he'll fight again. I don't know how serious this ulcer colitis thing is, but I don't know if he's going to fight again or not. But wish people would get on here and comment. I'll let you guys know I was going to be on. But anyways, Cap from Capitol Hill, you told me, I believe it was you that told me to talk about some boxing. So I did some studying. Huge fight tomorrow, or sorry, not tomorrow, Saturday. Usually ESPN has the Friday night fights. This time it's Saturday. It's a boxing pay-per-view caliber fight, but it's going to be on ESPN at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And it's going to be two-time Olympic gold champions. That's right. These guys have both won 2 Olympic gold champions. One for Cuba and one for Russia. And these guys are, of course, Vasil Lomachenko, who's 9-1 with 7 knockouts. And then you got, I know I'm gonna butcher his name, but it's Guillermo Rigondeaux, who is 17-0. And is a vicious, with 11 knockouts, a vicious 17-0. I was watching some fights early of Vasil Lomachenko today. Very, very high-level shoulder movement. Watching this guy fight is a treat for boxing fans, because it's almost like a combination of James Toney, Bernard Hopkins, how they use that inside clinch and those shoulder rolls and all those short movements and things, and a Roy Jones Jr. Because he's doing these inside things. He's doing crazy hooks and punches off of breaks with very little space. And then he's closing the distance with huge jump left hooks. Super athletic guy, super knowledgeable guy. This guy is scary. This guy's got some scary skills. He's obviously very, very well versed in the ring, as both these guys are, to have 2 Olympic gold medal championships. Are you kidding me? No, I wasn't late to my own party, guys. Come on in. It was 5 o'clock. Anyways, I was watching some of Rigondeaux, and man, that guy has got some power. He's got the speed. He's got those jump left hooks, kind of like a Roy Jones style. He seems to have a bigger build than Lomachenko, even though Lomachenko seems to have a better inside game. I watch Rigondeaux in the fight get knocked down in one of his fights. I can't remember which one it was, but get knocked down, come back, win the fight. Blistering power, like I said, 17-0 with 11 knockouts. Age difference with these guys, though. Vasyl Lomachenko coming into this is just 29 years old in his physical prime, and you got Guillermo Rigondeaux coming into this. He's 37 years old. He's Cuban, so he's getting a little on the older side. But like I said, both these guys, 2-time Olympic gold medalists. They both have 2 Olympic gold medals from 2 different Olympics. That's freaking insane. So if you like watching fighting, if you like watching boxing at all, I'm going to be following along with you. If you want to watch that fight, I'm going to be streaming, and we can enjoy it together, have a couple beers, and watch it together. What I've been watching here in the background is, I don't think you can hear it, but I've been trying to find out more about Royce Gracie's son. Conry Gracie is going to be making his MMA debut at Bellator 192. Same card that is going to have Rory McDonald and Douglas Lima. So that's going to be a loaded card. And that one for free, that's going to be crazy. We'll see what the UFC tries to do to counter that. I'm sure they're going to try to have some kind of counter programming. I'm not sure how the dates line up right now. But we're moving through this really quickly. The first show without any comments. Hopefully I'll look back on this and laugh one day. Dustin Poirier in the news called out Eddie Alvarez today. He says he wants the rematch. He had some, inflammatory things to say about Eddie Alvarez. Eddie Alvarez, of course, just coming off a very impressive, dramatic win against Justin Gaethje. Justin Gaethje, even though he was the favorite with the odds makers, was coming up big time in experience. I called this. I said Eddie Alvarez would beat Justin Gaethje. It was a great fight. Eddie Alvarez did beat Justin Gaethje, though, even though Gaethje, for some reason, was the favorite with the bookmakers. Dustin Poirier called him out on the MMA Hour with Ariel Helwani and said, basically, we need to get this done. Basically said, fight me or you're a coward. So, I'd love to see that fight. And Dustin Poirier, he's been on fire lately. Eddie Alvarez had kind of slept a little bit with a few of his fights. Dustin Poirier looked to be winning that fight against Eddie Alvarez before it was stopped for the eye poke. But Eddie Alvarez came back big time against Justin Gaethje. He's going to have a lot of confidence coming to that. Dustin Poirier obviously should have a lot of confidence in this. And if these guys rematch, it's got to be some kind of Dustin Poirier and Eddie Alvarez rematch. It's got to be some kind of title elimination bout, I would say. Both these guys are on the top of their game. Yeah, Eddie lost a couple, but to really big fighters, I think he was kind of overwhelmed in the moment in his fight against Conor. But, so was Jose Aldo. So was a lot of guys. It's intimidating to fight Conor just because of the entourage and the crowd he brings, the moment he brings. He has so much confidence. The only guy I really haven't seen, I think, that fazed by that was Nate Diaz. And I'd love to see Conor fight Tony Ferguson. And I don't think Tony Ferguson will be fazed by any of that. And I think both Tony Ferguson and Khabib Nurmagomedov would destroy Conor McGregor, which is probably why he hasn't fought either one of them yet. He's on his retirement tour, seemingly. Chris Cyborg Going to be fighting Holly Holm, of course, at the end of the year on the New Year's Eve card. The UFC ending the year, Chris Cyborg against Holly Holm. So Chris Cyborg came out today on BloodyElbow.com. Says she has inside information on Holly Holm. Her team is bringing in Mia St. John as a sparring partner, who Holly Holm's fought in the past. But I'm going to quote Chris Cyborg. She said, "Believe it or not, I've actually had a few Brazilians who've trained in New Mexico share some things with me about her training." So sounds like she thinks she has an ace up her sleeve. I don't know. We'll see what happens with that. That's going to be a really exciting fight. I think Cyborg is quicker. I don't know who's more powerful. Holly's bigger and more muscular. I think she just seems to have a bigger frame. I don't know if she's more muscular. You can't get much more tone than Cyborg. But Holm, God, her thighs and her legs and everything, she looks like she could walk around at 180 and without an ounce of fat on her body. But yeah, Cyborg, besides bringing in Mia St. John, she's bringing in a lot of other people to mimic Holly Holm's style. Of course, Holly Holmes has hundreds and hundreds of fights to her credit, or maybe almost 100 between boxing and kickboxing matches. She actually has more time in MMA in the cage than Chris Cyborg. Chris Cyborg obviously had a lot of short fights. So a lot of that was because of competition. A lot of those fights in the Invicta FC. She did fight in Strikeforce, of course, so she was the champion. Never had that coveted fight against Ronda Rousey that everybody was calling for, but seemed like, if she beats Holly Holm, that kind of, to most people, I think will vindicate her. And I don't think there's too many people out there right now that think Ronda Rousey's coming back and beating Chris Cyborg. I think you'd be hard-pressed to find even the most hardcore Ronda Rousey fan saying that. So, like I said, interesting day here in the UFC. There's a lot of things going on in the rankings. I'm happy to be getting back into boxing, to be able to call the Vasyl Lomachenko Gamero Rogandu fight. That's going to be incredible. Great to see Royce's son come back. So that brings back a lot of memories. I was watching, from the very first UFC, and I wasn't watching it live on pay-per-view because it wasn't available. We actually had to get the fights, rent them from a place in Walla Walla called Ma's Video. And we had to rent them on VHS and watch up until about 6. I think they became on pay-per-view, and we talked one of my friends into Dad into letting us get the pay-per-view, and we watched it. And I've been a huge fan ever since. And so some of my fans, but I was a boxing fan first. I remember, all the way back from Roy Jones Jr. in the '88 Olympics when I was 10 years old. I was infatuated with Mike Tyson. So I said it's going to be exciting to get back into boxing too. What's going on with George right now and the colitis? If he's hurting, I feel for him. Our thoughts and prayers here are with George and his recovery. And I know he has some anxiety issues and some different things too. And I'm not going to be hard on George here. I'm glad he came back. Conor McGregor, hope you're safe. I hope a lot of the stuff with the mob and the mafia is, I hope it's either, blown out of proportion or that it'll get taken care of soon. And Dana White seemed pretty promised that he was going to take care of it soon. But who fights Tyron Woodley at this point? I don't know. He doesn't have a fight at the end of the year. There still could be another big fight thrown on, being this is on December 29th, being it's the UFC for, New Year's Eve weekend. We could still get Nate Diaz and Tyron Woodley, but Nate apparently wants more money than what they're willing to pay him. I agree with Luke Rockhold. Pay the fighters. Just pay the fighters. That's all. invest in those fighters. When people see some of the biggest fighters getting the big paydays like they were in boxing, that's going to work more to legitimize your sport. You need to invest in your fighters instead of investing in this Dana White looking for a fight as much as I think I'm not saying all that's a bad idea, but the Dana White Tuesday night fights, all those things. What about more investing in promos for your fighters? What about giving them a bigger stage? What about helping them getting more endorsements, more commercials on TV, more stories about their lives? I've seen some stories about Francis Ngannou. Of course, that guy's going to be a humongous star. He's going to be fighting Stipe for the belt. That's going to be incredible. Looks like that's going to happen in Boston in Stipe's home crowd, which he deserves. He's the champion. He fought hard to get the championship. He's beat a lot of really good guys, so he deserves that homecoming. I hope he enjoys that. And I'm going to wrap this one up. Thanks for watching as always. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. I need to remember to say that at the beginning instead of the end. But yeah, please subscribe. Please like the video. And please share this with your friends. We'll do this again next Thursday. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Have a great night.